Today we have Andrea, aka ThatGodessEnergy on Instagram. Give her a follow. Trust me, ladies, you won't regret it. Men also, give her a follow. Send all of her content to your girlfriends. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. So other than just being incredibly stunning and incredibly intriguing as you are, what is it that you do?
Well, first of all, thank you for that amazing introduction. I feel like I want to record it and carry it around with me whenever I'm feeling a bit crap.
I'll get you one of those video frames with sound. So you know, just walk around, you're having a bad day, you just listen to it.
Yeah, love it. So, okay, what do? So essentially, you could say I'm an influencer to a degree, but whenever I lead with that, I feel like it kind of gives people the wrong impression because I don't do, beauty hauls and things like that. And I think when you say influencer, people think of that. So yes, kind of, but for me, it kind of just stemmed from just me being more of a content creator, somebody who likes to just chat about the things that are in my sphere of interest, which generally speaking are people, relationships, dynamics between men and women, women's empowerment, things like that. So my page is centered around that. And then through that, I did and do coach women as well. I'm not a career coach. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just that it's not really my bag, it's just something that I like to do as and when I can. So yeah, that's what I do for now. And yeah, I don't know what you want to call that. I'm just showing up and being myself.
Being you. And that's I think that's actually one of the most beautiful things that women can do is show up, be themselves, and just come as they are and know themselves as well. I mean, so when you coach women, is there like a specific topic? Because you said you coach them or you really are interested in the female and male dynamic. So is that sort of where your go-to point is of coaching?
Oh, I'd say that there's probably, so that amongst the main areas of my coaching, I think that they all link. So I could never isolate that. I think that if anybody came to you just for that, they'd be making a mistake, because if that is out of sync, it means that there's something else up, probably something to do with you. Do you know what I mean? So I think that they all link together. But yeah, that is one of the main areas. I think that's the one that stands out to people the most, because it seems like the most obvious of the problems. Like, it's very easy to see, I keep getting treated like crap. Oh, I'm having these problems. Men don't look at me like they want to look after me and things like that. So that's an obvious way that these things show up. But really, underneath that, there's something else up. That's not the root cause of the problem, if you get what I'm saying. So I try and focus a lot more, at least at the beginning, on just the relationship to self. I think when that is out of whack or off kilter, we start seeing all of these other things play out.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's not just necessarily like an intrinsic thing for women though, right? Like, yeah. I see this happen so often with men that I'm speaking to or counseling, and I see it and I'm like, wow, dude, you're focusing on women, and it's probably the same for you. You're focusing on men, but man, are you fucked up? Like,
and I'm sure you say it just like that. You probably could with some dudes though.
It's true. Yeah, I don't have to necessarily dance around a little bit
as much.
Yeah, but no, it's just that. And why do you think so many people are just they've kind of I would say that they've lost themselves, but what I find with a lot of people is they just haven't even begun to find themselves, right? I mean, what do you think on that? What's your kind of experience been?
I think what you said is right. I think that for many of us, it's like life things happen that can either be the catalyst for that kind of exploration, or they drive us deeper into this like pit of just there. So that happens, I think, and it really just depends on your luck and your character and a bunch of other things surrounding you. And I think that where we were discussing this off camera just a second ago, but like, where now so many things are expected of us in life, like in both sexes or genders, whatever you want to call it, like we're expected to take on a lot more. So the time is lacking, I think, for many of us. We dedicate so much time and energy and effort into so many other things that are quite superficial, that you and like how you feel gets put on the back burner, I think, a lot of the time. And that's why I think that eventually people get to a stage where it's just like, okay, a bunch of things are going wrong, things aren't looking like the way that I want them to look, my life isn't looking how I want it to look, I'm not feeling how I want to feel, and I don't know why. And then they start doing the self exploration. And not to mention, sorry to keep going on, but like I think that the same thing that I'm describing for us now is what it has been for our parents. And so we don't get that guidance, a lot of us, and then we start looking outside, you know, which is why now we're seeing emergence of lots of things of coaching, and people are looking for what we used to have, I think, when societies were a little bit different, which is like mentors and, you know, guides and people that have been there a little bit ahead of you. We don't really have access to that as much, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, I think you said that really beautifully as well, because it's, although there's access to Instagram, you know, you've got access to YouTube, all of these different you know, social media sites that you can go to, and you can see all of these people are being so much better than you and doing so much better than you, and then it starts you again in a kind of cycle for so many people, and you're like, man, why are they so amazing and I'm just so terrible, right?
Yeah.
And I think definitely it's a lot comes down to not just the nuclear family, but a lot comes down to also the fact of the community. I mean, communities are almost null and void and don't exist anywhere outside of the internet now.
True stories. Right? That is such a good point, like OMG. And this is why I like to tell people, like, okay, this is the world we live in. There are many pluses and there are many minuses to what you just described. Good thing is that like you can connect now with people who are just like you and will affirm certain patterns of thinking or directions that you want to move into. And you can do it very easily. But you have to be intentional and focused, because these apps are literally designed to make you feel crap if you let them, you know. So what you said is so true. And like, I think a clear out of your digital space is very necessary if you want to change anything about yourself. Like,
that's a very, very interesting question. So I actually sat down with my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago, and she's not a social media influencer, but she works as a social media manager. Okay. So obviously she's always on Instagram, and she's always doing her own thing and trying to build her own brand, which is fine. And you know, 100% I'd be behind her if she wanted to do it to a point. But there's certain things where I'm like, okay, look, you need to also think as a woman, right? You need to think, right, hold on a second, I've got all of these people following me that I don't know, and I'm going to post some bikini pics, I'm going to be doing this, and because once something is online, it's always there, right? But for you as a woman, what's your kind of like level of security like? Because, you know, especially for you, you've got what is it now, 20, 21, 22,000? I've just
gotten 30 now, literally 30. Today. Yay!
Congratulations. I'll cheers. We'll do a salute to that, actually.
Congratulations. Cheers.
I feel so emasculated, by the way, everyone. She's drinking a hard drink, and I'm only drinking wine because I'm just like, well, it's all right.
Yeah.
Just cry myself to sleep.
Wine was a bloke.
Yeah. I just need whiskey. Well, we'll fix it. But what's your, I mean, for you specifically, because you have so like 30,000 people, right? That's like what, 3 stadiums full of people that you don't know following you. So what's it like for you when you've got all of these people seeing you, who you are, what you're doing? What do you do in your sort of day by day to save yourself from something weird, bizarre, or bad, very bad happening to you? You know, a random man coming up to you in the street, oh, I know you, blah, 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 etc., etc., men knowing where you are, and so on and so forth. How do you go about that with your following?
I mean, I feel really like terrible now, because like I don't even think about it. I guess I do think about it to the degree that like I try not, if I'm somewhere, I try not to post my story when I'm there. I'll try and post after I've left. And if I'm going to tag the place, do you know what I mean? But actually, I don't think about it as probably as much as I should. I kind of, but I think that's one of the reasons why my page has grown, is because I don't really think about the people following me and things like that. Obviously, it's really nice when I see things doing well and numbers going up, but I'm not really in my analytics like how this post worked, this one didn't. You know what I mean? I just don't really. So I just post stuff. So do I think about it that much? No. Do I always tell women that you need to be smart? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, as much as I don't believe that you have to, live your life feeling like a victim all the time, you do just need to be smart, like common sense, don't put your personal information and whatnot out. Could I do better now that you've mentioned it? Probably. Like, I don't know. What do you do?
So for me, I'm one of those people. I'm very, 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 very strict with my social media because just certain parts and aspects of my work. So I'm very, very strict with it. So number one, never post where you are. Never ever post where you are in the moment. You can put when you've left and you're going somewhere else, or you are somewhere else, then that's fine. But in the moment, because even me as a man, I mean, obviously I'm insanely handsome and obviously incredibly attractive. But it's happened a couple of times where I've posted where I've been, and all of a sudden an ex or someone just so happens to walk in, and I'm like, that's funny. You know when you can look up and you can see who's seen it, and I'm like, oh, guess who's seen that one, boys? Everyone's like, dude, we got to change place. We were having so much fun. This is just, it kills your fun. But as a woman, I think it's so much more dangerous, especially now, because a lot of this whole online culture, especially with OnlyFans, building a lot of these women building these relationships online with these men, it gets really scary. So like I've had so many horror stories from it that I mean I've just said to my girlfriend, like, look, just let your Instagram be for the people that you love and care about, that you want them to know what you're doing. Like have your own personal brand account, 100%. But with what you're doing, what's going on in your life, why should half of the fucking world know what you're doing? They shouldn't, right?
Yeah,
they shouldn't, and it should be kept private. Because
I think you're right there.
I think I saw something. Tell me if I'm wrong. I can be every once in a while, but yeah, it's all right. My girlfriend would say all the time, so no problem there. But I think I saw something a little bit Christian on your profile a while ago. Are you quite religious? What's your sort of background?
Yeah, you probably would have done. I mean, I'm Christian. I don't like necessarily, like, if you look at my page, it's not like I have Christian writer, Christian coach, Christian this, but I am a Christian, and I do post things now and again relating to that. Don't say too much. Again, like, I do think what you're saying is right. And I think unwittingly, is that the word? Yeah. I do definitely have some boundaries in terms of what I post. Like, for example, who I'm dating, who I'm seeing, things like that.
100%.
I tend not to really go there. I just feel like I don't really want that. Like, I'm not trying to involve people in that. And also I feel like people use things like that to kind of either make what you have to say more important or less important, when actually it's irrelevant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can be a little bit strange in the online dating world, because especially with these, I don't know what you even call them now. I find it really pathetic. But there's so many dudes online that like, hey, I've slept with 100 women this year, and I'm like, okay, you've slept with 100 and you can't keep one of them. Like,
I don't even know what you call that. I think that's like the pickup artists. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like the pickup artists, the sort of like, it's not the red pill guys, because the red pill guys at least
they're like different. They're kind of not incel-y, but like kind of incel on that side. Then the pickup artists are kind of like with a similar kind of misogyny, but just on the other side.
Yeah,
of actually trying to just use women.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it is, and I mean we see this in history all the time, right? If the pendulum swings one way, you're damn sure gravity's going to want it to go in the middle. But the problem is people are pushing the pendulum, right? So it's going from ultra feminism over here, and now it's like, okay, cool. Now women aren't shit, and women aren't worth what I have to offer. And it's just like, okay, so let's look at this for a second. You're broke. You still live with your parents. You're 30. You are not interesting in the slightest, and you can barely hold a conversation with anyone. Why does anyone want to be with you, right?
Objectively speaking, like, I don't know. I just think that the more that men and women, I think it's more difficult for men, because there was that thing that came out in the press, not in the press, but the online press, whatever, about this article about lonely men. Everybody was going crazy about it. Did you see it? Rise of the Lonely Men or something like that. I
didn't. I must admit, I don't. I tend only to look at geopolitical news now.
Okay. Well, it was some psychology website, and this article went viral, and a lot of people were talking about it, but there was a big backlash from men, who were just upset and annoyed at what it had to say. And I do think that, like, a lot of women were kind of like, yeah, look, now you're miserable. But the thing is, what I think that's silly too, because if there are lots of lonely, angry single men, then there are going to be the same. It doesn't benefit anyone, you know what I mean? If that article is true, but going off the premise that it is true, I think that if it were to be true, I could understand how, in the sense that, like, historically men are in a weird position, I think, in that they're being told they don't have to be the providers, they don't have to take on some of the more like masculine things that they always were kind of told that was what they needed to do, and that was their role. So you don't need to do all that, and then they're also not being given the tools, or at least they're not using the tools, I don't know which one you want to take it, in terms of developing the emotional side of things as well. So it's this weird bit where they're kind of like, well, what am I doing? And then they're upset because they're unable to connect in the ways that I think a lot of women would like. And arguably you could say that's because a lot of the women that are looking for these connections from them, they're also more masculine, so they're wanting something from them that they can't necessarily, or it doesn't feel right for them to provide. So you can see how it can be this whole thing where men's general reaction when they're feeling disgruntled or frustrated tends to be anger more than it is for women. Yeah. So yeah, and you see that, and I'm like, okay, I can see that. But I just think it's important to remember this is not good for anybody. It's not a ha-ha thing. It's more like a, oh dear. Yeah.
Oh dear, society's going to shit. And
I don't want to say that.
Well, I'll do it for you. I'll push my misogyny and put words in your mouth. How's about that? But no, society, we're going a very dangerous way, because, especially women in their later years, where now they're not as lucky as you, they're not, anywhere near as beautiful as you are, or kind or intelligent, etc., etc. I could carry on, right? But there are a lot of women, they'll be really furious, because it's like, well, okay, in their 20s, it's like, okay, why does no good man want me? It's like, well, you're kind of dating guys at 20, right? You're not going to find a particularly wealthy guy at 20 years old. It's very, very rare. Less good looking, less tall, less handsome, less intelligent, less witty, less fun. Then it's very, very unlikely. All of these things are kind of like learned from men. And I think at least with the women that I've met that have just been brought up in a really, really good family with loving, caring parents, they've just kind of got, oh, hold on, I'm a woman, I want to be protected, and I want to feel good. And actually, like we were saying just before the call, I don't really want to think about all of these extra things, as you were saying before, right? It's like, I don't want to think about all of this crazy stuff and bills and having to worry about this and worry about that. No, just, hey, let me look really pretty and be happy and get to see the girls and go for brunch with the girls every once in a while. Like, I don't think that it's really that complicated, but I think a lot of these behaviors are learned. right? Or taught, especially now by society. What do you think is something, or one of those lessons that has been most damaging for the, let's call it the modern day woman?
Oh, and this is so interesting because, you know, I'm going to be on a panel on Sunday, and it's going to be like a live podcast. And the topic of the segment I'm going to be on is, what is the modern day woman? Sorry, not women. What is the modern day woman? And like, I think what you just said was so important. But I think one of the things that unfortunately has messed up so many of us up, and myself included to a degree, you know, which is why I think it's important for those of us who can sort of come through some of these handicaps to speak and reach back around and tell people how you can, you know, not follow the same thing that your parents or, you know, what whoever has taught you. Because the family setting, it's so hard to rewrite that brainwashing that you get from either growing up in a difficult environment or a calm, safe environment. That thing, and that's why I always tell the women on my platform, like, choose your partner properly, because at the end of the day, your kids can't do that. They don't have that privilege. So when you bring children into this chaos, and I understand sometimes, you know, things happen, but it's like the biggest thing that you can do in your life. And just that simple thing alone of having a stable, peaceful childhood, is it almost enough to make sure that you don't have to face some of the things coming up, as I think a lot of women are now facing. I'd say that so many people that kind of resonate with the kind of content that I put out, is because at some point in their lives, women especially, they weren't protected. Whether they saw that through their mum, they saw it through their family members, it was them themselves. They got the general feel that there was no safety for them. And so all of these other things start coming up now. Can't trust, walls, boundaries, barriers, aggression, you know, all of it is just a shield. That's all that is. It's just trying to protect the self, trying to protect itself. And I think the most important thing for us to kind of have to unlearn and relearn is the fact that it's not a big, bad, scary place. Like there's no one out to get you. You don't have to put up with crap. You know, it's not inevitable that you're going to be in a crap situation, or it's going to be hard for you, or you're going to be someone that doesn't make your life easy. I think that is a huge mental shift that most women find it really hard to take, because everything in their life has taught them that that's not the case, up until the moment where they decide, I don't want that for myself, but they don't really know how to not have it at the same time.
Yeah, that's a very eloquently put, beautifully put. And I say the same, almost exactly the same thing to men. I'm like, look, hold on a second.
Yeah. What do you notice?
Well, I say, look, a lot of the problems in really any relationship, be that with a woman or a man, it's slightly different for men to women. In fact, I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this because she asked me just out of the blue yesterday.
I want to meet your girlfriend. She sounds great.
She's wonderful. I must admit, she is an absolute star. She's a reason why I have this cut on my face from last night. Not her. Not her, but anyone who's watching this, if you touch her shoulder after I already tell you to walk away, you know what's going to happen, right?
Oh
no. Two guys or one, I don't give a fuck. You don't. Yeah, there's boundaries. I'm very strict with my boundaries. But they had a much worse evening than I did. I got a foot massage, and now my feet are like brand new. I have baby feet, and it's amazing. But yeah, it's very interesting because I say to men and to women, look, you have to test, right? You have to constantly test, and you have to not test in such a way which is it comes from a dark place within you, but it tests the person that you're with, because hold on a second, I actually like this person. I like this person. Is it something that maybe I'm doing wrong? Is it something that I'm not seeing? Am I looking and seeing the China parade of red flags, and I'm just saying, okay, well, I'm in the US, doesn't affect me, kind of thing? Or is it just that you're not testing? Have you ever asked long-term questions? Have you sat down and been like, right, okay, this is what I want from a relationship.
Mm.
What do you want? Okay, I can do that. I can do that. I can't do that. Is that a deal breaker? Cool.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
I wish you best of luck. And it's really that simple. But
Mm.
you know, it's very different between men and women, because a man can't pretend for as long as a woman can. A woman, you ladies, and I think all of you can agree and attest to this, you can go on pretending to be a star until you know that you've got him, and then you're like, right, okay, let the makeup start slipping off a little bit, and you kind of lose yourself a little bit, because you're not and I think the reason for this is a lot of women are just doing it not for themselves, and not to be actually in a relationship. It's just because they want someone, right?
Mm.
And so rather than, like, for example, my girlfriend, again, she's I may as well just get her on, right? But
Yeah.
it's getting like, she wakes up, she puts on makeup, she makes herself look super pretty, and I'm like, babe, you're just staying at home. Like, why are you looking pretty? Just because you're here, just because you're working. And I'm like, that's my girl. And it's like, she's doing it because out of love for me, and because she's doing it for herself at the same time. Whereas a lot of women don't do that for themselves. They kind of do it just to get the man initially.
The thing is, I will say, you know, two things I wanted to point out there. So you see how what she mentioned, it involved you to some degree. And this is why I always say, you know, and a lot of people would disagree with me on this, because a lot of people that I've seen online, coaches, whatever, will say that, you know, it needs to be purely based on a logical choice in terms of who you choose for your partner and who you're with. And I agree that logic has to be in there, but I think that there's something else that also needs to be in there. And that is that genuine connection, that genuine passion, that genuine respect. Because when you have that, and I think perhaps you don't really understand what that feels like until you've at least experienced, even if things don't work out, but like you've at least experienced it once. When you have that, it becomes such a like joy to want to please your partner, you know, in whatever way that you can, because they're so special to you and they treat you so well, and you just want them to be happy, and you just want them to be happy with you. And there's nothing wrong with that, in the sense that, you know, oh, you're doing stuff for them. It's not, you know, it's, to me, that's not what it's about. Until you find somebody that you feel like you feel that strongly about, I feel like you're stopping too soon. You need to keep going. You need to keep looking, in a way, because you should feel that, you know, and that feeling carries you through so much stuff. I think life happens, problems happen, but when you have that thing, whatever it was, and it may not be there to this degree the whole time, but you need to at least have a memory of it. You need to at least know that feeling in relationship to your partner. And I think that we skip over that, and like now we've kind of, as women, gone so much towards the whole you know, hypergamy and all of that, which I believe is necessary. You know, I'm not going to discount it. I think we need smart.
I think it's a very positive thing.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing, because you don't, less broken homes, better cared for people, a better society in general. Like, it's a smart thing to do all round. But the whole point of like a marriage and a loving home is that you, like, I think it would be even better if you had that thing there as well. So yes, you want to take care of yourself. This comes with just an element of like respect, self-respect. But then it's like there should also be this layer that connects you with somebody that you just think, you know, this person is so great, they're so good to me, I just want to I don't want to have barriers in how much I pour and like love on this person and make them feel good, and I want them to feel good about me, I want them to be proud of me, and you know, all of that. So I think that's missing a lot of the time when we focus so purely on like what this person can do for me and da 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 da. And I think that that's just as important of a component when it comes to creating the kind of homes that build the best people, like the best, most well-rounded human beings. I'm not saying that you can't come from difficulty and be amazing. It's just a lot harder, you know, and a lot of people don't make it in that way, you know what I mean? So why not try and eliminate that difficulty if you can at the beginning? I think, yeah.
I agree. And I think it comes back to what you were saying before, right? It comes back to making sure that the person that you're with as a woman is the person that you want to build with, right? And is also the person that you want to sacrifice all of these other things for, right? Like, for example, parties. Like, fine, if you're single and that's something that you want to do, in my opinion, fine, go ahead and knock yourself out, get blackout drunk. But if you're in a relationship and you're going and you're partying as a woman, specifically, I mean, the amount of horror stories that I've heard you can't do that in a relationship so much.
What does it mean? You're like, when you're saying it.
Okay, let me clarify. So I'm talking.
I think so. You can't go out. You know
what
I mean?
No, stay in the kitchen, darling. Stay in the kitchen. That's it. Stay in the kitchen. I'll set up even a small bed in there and everything. It's fine, right? But no. What I mean is for me to be able to protect the woman that I'm with as a man, which is what my responsibility is to protect you and to keep that beautiful innocence that a woman has, which only a beautiful woman could have. And a truly beautiful woman has that beautiful innocence inside, right? Because
things that you just said, but yeah, go on.
Because just like you were saying, when a woman wants to have that, as you were calling it, like a kind of explosion, right? It's an explosion of femininity. And for me, that can only come from a woman who's accepted themselves. They have been innocent. They've accepted that innocence, and they know that innocence should be protected, because there are bad things that happen in the world, and there are lots of bad things that happen in the world every day. And because we live in the Western world, a lot of that you don't see it firsthand, right? Like you'll read about something, some random girl was spiked at a club near you, and then you'll post something about it and you're sorry, completely forget about it like 2 months later. But no, at parties, the amount of things, and by parties I mean just in general, putting yourself in spots where danger is, because especially if I'm not there, how if something's going to happen to you as a woman, how on earth am I going to be able to look after you or protect you? How if someone spikes your drinks and you're there with your girls, and one of your girls is going out and chatting to some other guy, and then the other one's just there kind of drunk and she's having a good time, she's just dancing, everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time, right? Like a normal party. But sure, it's unlikely, but on the 1% chance that something happens to that innocence, that beautiful innocence, I prefer not to take the risk.
So how do you navigate that then with your girlfriend, partner, whatever?
It's very simple. She just makes sure that she stays in places where she's safe. If she wants to go and see the girls, she sees the girls in the evening. She's back at a particular time. Or if she wants to stay out a little bit later, then fine. I'll go with some of my friends and we can all go out. We can all have a good time. But at the same time, I don't really see much in staying out late anymore, because the later you stay out, the higher and higher the danger becomes, right? And the higher possibility things are going to happen. So I don't prefer it. I prefer, honestly, to not live a cushioned, cuddled life. No, because that's not, especially not me. Dear Lord, no. But I prefer to have less problems. I have enough as it is, and the less problems that I have, the better my life is going to be. And the better my life is, the better that hers is going to be, right? Because she's giving 100% of her, I'm trying to give 150% of me. So it's only fair. But there's just no way that I could have her in a position where something bad could happen, especially not to her physically, if I'm not there.
I get that. And I understand that impetus and that drive. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because there's danger everywhere.
There is.
You can't protect anybody fully. I guess then you have to sort of also rely on her own judgment. I'm sure she's a very intelligent woman.
Exactly. And going on that as well, that was actually just perfectly correct. So the reason why I know that I can trust her with X, Y, and Z, and realistically anything, is because I have tested her myself.
In what ways did you do that? Now
No. I'm not letting the bottle out. I can't do that. Ladies first.
Right.
What's like a test that you would say for all women to do with men? And then I'll give men one.
Can you promise?
I'll pinky promise you.
All right, then, perfect. So I do say to women, and now you don't, when people say test, they kind of think like, oh, you have to make things up and be really deceptive, but that's not the case, because life happens and there will be a situation that happens to you in your life that you're going to need the man that you're seeing or with to do something to help you. It's just what most women do when those situations arise. They don't go to that man. They like just pretend like he's not an option to help. You know, this is the pathology where, again, we're coming back to that whole thing of like not really understanding what a man who is into you wants to be to you. If you don't get that, when those situations come, you won't really understand that. Go to him. You know what I mean? So when those situations do happen in life, whatever they are, I always tell women, you know, if you want to see what this guy's made of and what he feels about you, when you have a problem, and it doesn't matter really what sort of problem it is, just make sure that it's one that you can't readily solve and that you actually need some help for. And where you'd usually ask a friend or somebody else, ask this man and see what his response is. Is he like, oh, that's so bad. Oh, damn. So anyway, want to meet up later? Or is he like trying to go out of his way to figure out ways to fix this for you because he actually gives a damn about you? And that will be the natural response of a man who cares. He's not going to just ignore it. A man who really is interested in you and really cares about you, naturally his go-to mode is going to be like, right, what have I got to do to get rid of this? And that it's not even like he's thinking about it. It's just, that's what he will want to do. He will never want to see you there suffering or in need or in lack when it's something that he has some control over. So I always say to women, at some stage when you're seeing somebody, this must come up. You must see whether he's willing to go out of his way to fix something for you. And if he's not, then it tells you everything you need to know. And that's fine. It's no judgment on him. He'll meet a woman later on down the line that will inspire that kind of reaction in him. It's just not you. And you need to accept that.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. It's like one of the things that I've done for a very, very, very long time, because men, please listen to this. Don't just react like that, because a lot of the time, what you wonderful ladies love to do is come to us with problems. There aren't problems. You just want to talk. And sometimes you just want a hug.
That's
and
true.
A bottle of wine and chill out for that evening, right? So what I always say to men, whenever a woman comes to you with a problem, ask her, do you want my logical advice and do you want me to fix this and tell you how to fix this? Number 2, do you just need a cuddle? Number 3, do we just need to have sex and then it's resolved? And number 4, see, that's how you know it's true. And number 4 is, okay, do we just need to chill out and just relax? Do you just need my ears? Or it's essentially, which part of my body do you need? My ears, my mouth, or the other part, right? So that's a very good piece of advice for you men out there.
That is a good one.
For men, I always say, look, it's one of the biggest tests for us men, especially now. If she has social media, just what's she posting?
Ooh. I never let men on my social media. I don't.
No. You don't even let them on.
I won't let them on. It's too much information too soon. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I don't really have a personal one. This is the only one I use, and it's for, I just talk about things I think, to do with dating, to do with, if I give a man this, it's like giving him too much information about what I think.
Yeah, he's in your case, he'd freak the fuck out.
Exactly.
I would be like,
no, why'd you say that?
Well, no, I say that actually. In fact, in my case, if we were dating and you just gave me your Instagram, I'd be like, what a fascinating woman. And actually, she's just wearing her heart on the sleeve. Whereas if it was, let's say, another woman, let's say, again, 30,000 followers on Instagram, but it's just pictures of her on the beach, traveling here, traveling there.
Right.
Then I'll be, and bikini pictures and so on and so forth. Then I'm like, oh, okay, right. No,
Right.
just
Okay. Interesting.
no, because it's social media is a very interesting thing, right? You can either you can use it extremely productively as either a man or a woman. You could use it so productively and genuinely help the world, or you could use it in such an egocentric way, which is just benefiting yourself, and that's it. And trying to be famous for X, Y, or Z dumb reason, you know?
Yes, I get that. And I think that's a really good point. However, if whoever the woman isn't using social media, then what would you tell men?
If she's not using social media, first and foremost, I would say fan-fucking-tastic.
That's a good
right.
thing.
Right.
I think the same thing
We
about
have
men.
a unicorn here. So if she's not using social media, that immediately says to me a couple of things. It genuinely could be good. It genuinely could be absolutely horrendous. She could also be lying to you. True. Which is most often the case. If she says she doesn't have Instagram, bro, she just doesn't want your number anyway. Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
But no, if she genuinely doesn't have a social media account, then actually I would say to men, great, see who she really is. And then what you're going to have to do is test her over time, right? It's the same thing, like, because in my particular circle, I only deal with high value men. We're talking wealthy, health is very good, mentally exceptionally well, very well networked, very strong, powerful individuals in their community. I could go on, influential and so on and so forth. And so for guys like us, we're crazy busy. Like I really don't think anyone understands. So busy. So it's like when we don't text for maybe a day, a lot of these online female coaches would be like, well, yeah, that's because he don't give a fuck about you. And it's like, no, not that. It's just I was so fucking busy, and I've just finished, and my head just literally hit the bed, and I'm sleeping. That's it. I'm done. I'm completely finished for the day. It's nothing bad about you, but we have so much of our mental space occupied by so much else, right, that when we look at our phones after a long day, or when we're at lunch or something, and we say, oh, she's texted me. Like, you know what? That's actually really nice. If it's a good man and they're actually genuinely busy, oh, she texts me. That's lovely, yeah. And then we will try our best also to go out of our ways. But it really depends on the man, I think, very fundamentally. I mean, what would you say would be the 5? Let's go for 5, just because I like the number today. What are your 5 biggest red flags that a man would give a woman like you, who is very genuine, intrinsic, evidently beautiful and wise? What would be the 5 things that you would advise, or 5 red flags that you'd be looking for?
I think there's so much to be said. First of all, before I start that, I think that it's a good thing to talk about the texting thing, because I think, like you said, there's a lot of misinformation. I think, fortunately, now we're seeing a lot of people understanding and respecting the fact that somebody not messaging you or something like that isn't the big deal that you are taking it to be, because if you have a busy and full life, you also won't put too much emphasis on these kind of things as well.
Exactly.
Do I think that it's important for a man that you're seeing to be consistent with you and trying to speak to you and be around you? His actions will show you that, it will. He'll be wanting to see you. So whatever's going on, he doesn't need to sit texting you all the time, but by and large, you'll have something planned. He's not going to leave you to kind of like be on the sidelines. He's going to want to make sure that he's got something coming up with you, or do you know what I mean?
It's congruency. I think is
Yeah.
is the best word, because, and I say this to guys all of the time. It's like a lot of what you were saying about like the pickup artist stuff before. Like you can go and you can have whatever X line that may sound really good, and it may work with one girl over here or one girl over there. It may very well work, but the problem is you have to be congruent. As a man, you have to be congruent, and you have to everything that you say. I think this is a big thing, especially as a man. If you say that you're going to do something, it's done. It's done. From everyone else's perspective, be that your friends, your family, but especially for the woman that you're with. And even more so, like if you're a man and you've set a boundary, and the same with women, I suppose, but if you've set a boundary, that's it. That boundary therefore cannot be crossed, or you are done. And you never end things with malintent or hatred or anything. Okay, cool. Well, you've shown me who you are now. Now I see who you are. I'm not down for it. Good luck.
Yeah. Self-respect, isn't it? Like the same for both of us. I think it's really important that men have that as well, because that's the only way you're going to get the kind of woman that you actually want.
Yeah.
Like the kind of woman that you want is not going to want the kind of man that will take anything she chucks at him. No, she doesn't want that. Like she wants a man to be like strong enough to say no to her sometimes, do you know? And men think that we're upset, but no, we won't. We actually really like that. It's really attractive, especially you're not used to hearing no that often. So it's really nice when somebody can be like that with you, and not from a place of being mean, but it's just like, no, this is me and this is what I want, and this is how it's going to be for me right now. And you have no choice but to respect that the same way if the shoe was on the other foot.
And it's simply saying, okay, well, you know what, thank you for communicating and being open and honest with me. Then that's it. And I'm going to change my question, actually.
Okay.
Because obviously I'm a man. We only have attention span for like 10 seconds, right? We're fish. We are fish. But what would a man that is looking for that type of a woman? Because again, it's I'm not saying that there's just one way. There's not just one type of relationship that works, but the kind of relationship that we are talking about is one which is high value, high impact, somewhat traditional, somewhat religious in some which way. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but if God is included, I find that even more beautiful. Definitely. Because that just strengthens your bond even further. There's other relationships that work. It's like these, I don't know how the fuck they work, but these polyamorous ones and so on and so forth. But fine, chaps, if you're down for it, if you want your girl to be with a couple of other men, that's fine. But I don't see that as your girl personally, but each their own. But what would a woman in your side of the things, what would she be looking for? Those things that I guess men, us goldfish, we don't just intrinsically know. What would we be looking for?
Oh my goodness. I think number one, now, of course, some of the things I'm saying are subjective to a degree because I'm talking about a certain type of person. I can't speak for, I just can't. The same I tell people.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. If you're coming to listen to the conversation that you and I are having, it's because generally speaking, you're probably going to feel a certain type of way. You're probably going to be a certain type of way. So this is what I'm saying for these people. Okay. So for this, like, I know one of the first things that resonates to me with like a man that I might, I don't know, something about his energy where I'm like, oh, it's like, does he have like almost like a heavy presence? Like it's hard to explain that in a way that makes sense. But when I say heavy, I don't mean dark and deep. I just mean like dense almost.
Mm.
Like the energy around this man is quite dense. And I mean that in the sense that it's not like that. It's not rough. It's not changing. It's not like, it's just calm. And when you're around it, you tend to feel that way a bit more as well. So for me, that's a really big and easy and quick way to recognize the energy of a man fast. It doesn't matter about his personality or what he's got or all the other things and boxes that you might think of, but just in that first instance of meeting somebody, you know, most of women who are generally leaning towards this feminine energy, our way tends to be a bit more, I don't know, like light somehow. So
light, joyous, free.
a little
I mean,
bit, you know.
what would be like something that a man would do that would give you not because these kinds of things you really can't fake them, because again you have to be congruent, and even if you do figure out a way to fake it, eventually she's going to find you out. Because one thing that I was saying before is that women can present for a very, very long time. Us men, we can only do it for maybe a couple of days, and then we're like, yo, shit, I just spent all my money on you, babe. Like, I'm done now. I can't. Like, I'm done. I'll see you after payday.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, because when it comes to these kinds of talks about energy, I mean, what would be an example of something that you've had in real life where you've gone maybe on a date, or maybe you've just met a guy and you're just like, oh,
like you said, it's tricky because I can tell you things, but it won't make sense, you know? Like, I'll say it, but like, I feel if people hear it and they don't understand what I'm saying because they've never experienced that energy, they perhaps won't really get what I'm saying. So, okay, so for example, there was something about this particular guy that I met. So there was
definitely something about him. That
Yeah.
look says all. I love this. Let's talk. Let's talk about. We'll call him Jimmy.
Okay, Jimmy. We're not going to do too much talking about Jimmy, but Jimmy. Okay, so when I first met Jimmy, there was something about his manner, and it was so calm, but it was so confident, but yet it was really respectful. And he said to me, God, I hope he never ever sees this. But he said
if
to
you
me,
do, Jimmy, call me up. We'll do an interview.
oh Lord. I remember, because I thought, you know, this is a fantastic question. I don't think anybody's asked me this question in this way. When I first met him, he said, you know, I'd like to take you out, da, 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 da. And then he said, would you be more comfortable if you gave me your number or I took your number? And I was like, you can have my number, but I like that you even thought to ask that, you know, would you be more comfortable? That kind of thing, that kind of attitude and that kind of thinking of your comfort and your ease and your calmness in a situation, to me, it shows you where somebody's head is at really quickly and really easily. And then even just things as simple as a man's manner will also communicate things to me. So the way that you sit, you know, I can't explain it again, but it's something that it does, it says something. And the same way I think that men feel about women, it's the way that you do things. It's not so much the thing, it's just the manner in which you do it that communicates something to me about you and about your energy. And I think in the first instance of meeting somebody within a few minutes, these are things that come across to you really quickly and easily. And, you know, for a woman that is looking for or is interested and is attracted to that kind of man, it's very quick. Doesn't take long for you to know what kind of man you're dealing with.
I certainly agree with that. A lot of women that I've certainly been with in that kind of a frame and mindset, they've just been like, hey, can you just leave everyone and just just us? And it's like, well, hold on a second, because you've seen I'm congruent, but I haven't seen you yet. Just hold up a little bit.
Fair.
Hold up a little bit. And so what else would a woman be looking for in these kinds of situations. So we have their almost demeanor, their body presence. I mean, I think just to elaborate a little bit and just to give you guys like a real life example. So if you're sat back and you're laid back and you're just like this, in certain situations that can show a particular confidence. But in other ways, that just shows an ego and disrespect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm sat here like this now talking to you on an interview, I seem pretty disinterested. Whereas if I'm leaning forward, as I am, and I've got my hands like this on my knees, and I'm just like genuinely intrigued in what you're saying, then I'm leaning forward because I want you to say more. Right. So it really depends. And also if I'm curled up a bit and I'm kind of like this and I'm trying to protect my chest, which is normally the area for someone to protect because that's where your organs are. So normally you kind of cuddle yourself a little bit in some way. You're like, oh, well, yeah, I feel okay. No, that person feels very uncomfortable or is very uncomfortable in that situation. So just to give you guys a little bit more of an example of that, I suppose. But what else, Andrea?
And now you're talking about in the first instance now, or are you talking about what you would look for generally?
Give us all of it. Give us a little bit of that femininity explosiveness that I know that you got.
Well, I think that to surmise, I feel like women, we really just want to see that, number one, or if you're thinking of the way that I do, the level of interest has to be high, you know? So I think a lot of men are afraid when they are that interested in a woman that it's almost like it's difficult to show that interest without seeming like desperate. They kind
Simpy.
of, yeah. And
Have you heard that
the
term
word
before?
Yeah, all the time. So that unfortunately has been given a bad rap. But you see, I think what men need to understand that if you want the woman that you are really, really attracted to, you need to forget the idea that you showing that you are interested in her is going to make you a simp. There's a way
being
to
affectionate.
Yeah. And being forthright in the sense that I want to see you. What are you doing? I want to make plans. Like, if you don't take that step forward, or you look beautiful, you know, it's really not hard. Like, but there's all this around it, you know, that I think a lot of men struggle with. If I could tell men, you know, if you want to communicate or be with a woman that you're really attracted to, really interested in, who you feel has a lot of the qualities that you're looking for, you know, or you think could, you need to show her that you're you need to show her that you are very interested in her. And that doesn't mean kiss her up.
Do you think, because I think, and I'd love to hear what you think about this, I think a woman needs to show that she's interested in a man, and a man needs to show her that he is serious.
I think that
about being with her.
You're right, but the way that the order in which that needs to happen is that the man needs to show he's serious first, and then the woman needs to show that she's interested second. So for a woman to approach a situation like, I'm showing you that I'm interested in you, but you've yet to show me that you are serious, is a mistake. And this is the problem I see that a lot of women do. They're interested in a man, and unfortunately they kind of lead with that. Like, the dance is not for you to lead. That's my opinion, you know. For me to even feel like I'm comfortable enough to show that affectionate side of me, I need to know you're serious. Because if I don't know you're serious, you get nothing. That's how it has to be. Because therefore, do you know what I mean?
I do, absolutely. And I was thinking about what a lot of the guys who are going to be watching this are going to be asking, and they're going to be saying, man, how the fuck do I show her that I'm serious? What would be something that a guy could do? Just a simple thing.
Easy.
After, and bearing in mind as well, because a lot of what we're talking about is going to be dependent on the stage of the relationship that you're with. So I kind of really want to clarify on this. So after the first date, the first date goes exceptionally well. Let's say it's just a good date. You don't have sex.
Mm.
But it was an amazing date. You both had a fun time. For whatever reason, he's busy. He's got to go back, do some business calls, whatever the fuck, right? So in that case, he takes you home. He leaves you at home, whether it's by taxi, by his car, whatever, right? Or even walking you home. Maybe it was just a nice stroll after everything, and you guys get that little bit more time, just sit down and talk. What would be something that after that date, that whether it be the next day, the same day even, who knows, when he gets home, that a man could do to say and show you and say, you know what, Andrea, I'm serious about you. I was going to say something, but
yeah, well, I mean, like, obviously you don't need to say the words I'm serious about you after a date, but it's really as simple as just calling her or messaging the next day and say, listen, I had a really great time. I've been thinking about you. When can I see you again? Done. That's it. It's not complex. It's just about the consistency. It's about the intention. It's about the decisiveness. I think that women really like decisive men, you know. I've decided not to see you again. And so therefore, when can I see you? It's not like, do you want to see me? It's like, I want to see you. So
that's
what is
so unattractive for women, isn't it? When you're like, babe, do you want to see me? It should be, hold on a second. We just had an amazing time.
Yeah, what do you think? Like,
what do you think? Was she sat there laughing and having a great time? Then what, you know what she thinks.
Exactly.
Like, what's wrong with you? Are you not the one thinking here?
Exactly.
But it's so if women really like decisive guys, and this is something that I do, if ever I've been in this situation, I've just said at the end of the day, I said, look, I've had such a great time and I would love to see you again. Are you free on Wednesday or Thursday at this time or this time? No, not on that time, but I could maybe be free that time. Okay, well, look, you let me know tomorrow. You let me know tomorrow, because otherwise, if you don't let me know, I'll just make some other plans and then move on from there. And
that's it.
And then it's done. You text her whenever you get back home, say, back home, thinking about tonight, smiling, done.
Exactly. The more that we like just take away all this stuff from it, and the more we understand that, okay, it's about the energy of it. Like, what do you want to communicate as a man? You know, you want.
Do you think it's also, sorry to interrupt, do you think it's also something to do with the honesty and the intrinsicness of that person?
Yeah.
Because I find, especially with women, when a woman tells me straight up and she's 100% honest with me, whether it's a yes or a no, I'm like, thank you. And I genuinely appreciate that. I'm like, you just saved me maybe 2 kids, half of my staff. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And if it's a yes and we're serious, I'm like, okay, thank you. I appreciate that. But if we're serious, we're serious. You know what? Like, these are my expectations. I know yours. So okay, cool. We know what's up. Is that fair? Is that a fair game? Yeah, I think that's a fair game. Cool. Now we're in this together, and it's because it's almost like a business partnership. In a way, it's like an emotional, spiritual, physical business partnership. There's always the CEO and the founder. You as the man should be the founder, I think.
Yeah.
And you should be the co-pilot. You should be the co-founder who helps me to do the stuff that I can't get to, so that I can push the business forward. What do you think about that?
I think that's it, really. And I think once you understand that, which is why we talk about, you know, masculinity, femininity, blah, 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 blah. It's just about knowing the ways to support one another, really. It's like, you know, the dance. It's great. It's amazing. It's interesting, but it's like we step on each other's toes when we don't quite get that, I think. you know? So the more that we can understand what that is and what that means, I think the better off that people who want the style of relationship that we're talking about will be. Not everybody wants that, absolutely fine, because there are many ways to be happy, but it's just for people that kind of do want it, it's just about knowing how to maneuver in order to make that possible, which I think is what's been lacking really in the I guess education when it comes to relationships and men and women. We struggle to understand each other a lot.
I have a really good analogy, actually. I think maybe it's a terrible one, but I think I have a good one, which is that, you know, for this particular analogy of these kinds of traditional relationships where it's literally you and the person that you're with against the entire world, for it to be a dance is also always changing. It's always changing, right? You've got salsa, you've got the waltz, you have bachata, we can carry on, right? But it's I forget the word, but it's a very long word. It's an incredibly beautiful one as well. But the word means a never-ending, beautiful, ever-changing melody. I'll figure it out. I'll find out what it is, and I'll post it. This will be in the title or something. But as a woman, to be better at dancing, let's just say you shouldn't have multiple dance partners. I think you need your man to know how to dance by himself a little bit, right? Because let's face it, and I think that you would very much agree with this, especially sexually. I mean, you don't want to ever be with a man that's never done anything before, right? Like, well, there we go. But you want them to be able to dance with you and to be doing all of these different kinds of dances, right? And to be the leader in these dances, and to be showing you, even if you step on his toes, he shouldn't mind so much if you step on his toes just once, and then you learn, and then you continue following and dancing, and both of you are just having so much fun. Because that's the whole point about a dance. You're having fun and you're enjoying and you're connecting with someone, right?
Supposed to be, yeah. Completely agree.
Unless you're into winding and grinding. Well, if that's you, ladies.
Oh, by all means. I'm sure that works the same way, kind of.
Well, not on this podcast. I think they found the wrong one.
Oh dear. Well, listen, I need to go. It's been a wonderful conversation.
It has been absolutely fantastic. Do you mind? Because I've had a couple of questions, very quick ones.
Yeah, go for it.
From my followers that they've asked me. So I've got my other phone here.
Fine, I forgot. Yeah, go on.
So, the first one, what's the biggest problem with women in modern society? This was asked by a woman.
Well, in what capacity? I don't know. So I'm just going to answer based on what I think. Biggest problem, inability to let go. Inability to let go. And I think that comes back to like being so in your head all the time and all of that. I think it comes out in health problems. It comes out in relationship problems. It comes out in so much stuff because we've lost touch with like the bit of us that likes to be free and like be in tune with like intuition and all of these things. Inability to let go and just surrender.
That's beautiful as well, because I think and I was having this exact conversation as well with a guy the other day, and I said one of the most beautiful things is when a woman surrenders to your love. It's one of the most beautiful things.
What does that look like in real time? How do you know?
She will just want to make you happy. Like she would just do absolutely anything. If you ask, And a lot of men as well, this is one really big problem that you guys don't do, is ask for help, right? You don't say, babe, can look, I'm super busy today. Can you help me out with the laundry? Can you help me out with just cleaning? Can you help me out with just walking my dog? Can you please? Because I'm so fucking busy. No, just take, if you're in a relationship, it's not 50-50. It's never going to be 50-50. So it should always be much more on your side as a man rather than hers, because she shouldn't be thinking. She should just have her hair and her nails and be pretty and be in the kitchen, like I said, right?
Yeah.
But it's your duty as a male to take that on. And if you're not down for that, then just don't fucking date. Like, it don't, or at least don't date a traditional woman.
Yeah,
because
date a woman that is like you. That's all you can ever ask of people.
Exactly. So I have another one here. So what, where did it go? Hold on a second. What could I do as a man in the dating world with my 5'8" height? I personally find this question a little bit pathetic and irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. There's nothing you need to do as a man. The only thing you need to do as a man is just work on the things that make you feel like a man. You know, at your height, believe me, it doesn't matter. For the kind of, for the kind of women that you're interested in, they're not going to be hyper fixated on your height. It's going to be how you make them feel, the way you come across, what you've got going on for yourself in your life, how stable you are, how secure you are, emotionally, financially, spiritually. All of that is going to be what makes you a catch or not a catch. Believe me, it's not your height. So if people are still fixating on your height as a man, it's because you're still fishing amongst a group of women that you need to surpass. You're not where you need to be because you're still in a pool of people that are not thinking the way that you need them to think,
Absolutely.
You're not as well. So like, level up.
Yeah, you're dating in just a cesspit full of snakes and cockroaches. Get out, level yourself up, forget about it.
Doesn't matter.
And just level up, bro. That's it. And 5'8" as well, by the way.
It's not even short.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's taller than you. So.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So there we go.
Not even short, like.
So maybe I'll set you guys up for a date sometime.
No, all right.
And the last question, the top 3 things that a guy can do, and I love this question, actually. This is amazing. The top 3 things that a guy could do to show appreciation to a woman like you, that they love and care about you.
1, listen to things that she actually wants and get them. Number 2, to show appreciation, like, okay, it depends what woman you've got. A woman like me, number 1, you need to hear the things that I need or that I want, and that's what I like. Words of affirmation, in the sense that, like, if you need to make me feel that you appreciate the things that I am and the things I do. So more the things I am, I'd say. For a woman, it really is just, we want to feel like we're seen. So anything you can do to really highlight that is really special. And when it's a man that you like, it's just like, best thing ever. So try and do that. Number 3, I would say, pay attention to the things that she, or the people even better, in her life that she cares about, and show that same love and care that you have for her to them, because that is what sets people a cut above. When somebody really appreciates and cares for you, when they're not only doing that for you, but it's like, by extension of caring about you, it starts to touch on the people and things around you. That's when you're like, gotta keep her. So yeah, I'd say those 3 things, really, if you want to really show somebody that you care, or the woman that you're interested in that you care, will take you a long way.
Absolutely. And guys, just to give you a little tip on that last point, ask about her family. If they have a great relationship, ask about them. Hey, did you speak to your mum this week? Hey, did you speak to your dad this week? How was he? What's going on? And pay attention, listen to what's going on. If you care, then all of this stuff should be natural to you.
Absolutely.
And it shouldn't, it's not something that you can really like force upon yourself, but ask about her friends. Hey, how was thingy? How was Ellie last week? Because didn't she have that exam for, I don't know, Ryanair or something that you were telling me about, or that I heard you guys talking about over the phone? Oh yeah, wow, you actually paid attention. Pay attention as well. That's a really, it should be automatic, a lot of it.
Oh, I feel, and this is where we loop back around, where I'm just like, I think so many of us are just with the wrong people. Because when you, but then again, I think a lot of it has to do with where you are at in yourself before you even get to the relationship, you know? Because if you don't have a deep enough well to draw from, then these things, they can't really manifest.
The well dries up.
Yeah, the well dries
and
up.
it dries up
So much
fast.
you have to give, right? But if you've done that stuff ahead of time, and take your time, guys, at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather take your time and end up with the kind of relationship that sets you on fire? You can't wait to see this person, you know? You can't wait to be around them because they bring so much to you, and they're just a joy to your life, rather than just somebody who's like there and nice, but not that kind of soul thing, you know?
Not soul locked, right?
Yeah, I wish people would kind of understand that. I know it's difficult, trust me. I know it's hard sometimes for men and women. We get worried, we get afraid, and we're not sure whether we meet somebody, and all of these thoughts. But like, I just think that you need to be with somebody that you really are into. And then a lot of these questions and things, they become a non-issue. You're not even thinking about it, you know?
You're just having fun.
Yeah. So we don't have to make it such a big deal. If we do the things in the right order, do the self-work, go to therapy, get a coach, do whatever it is that you need to do to figure out that, to make sure that you are showing up in the world outside of men and women, that you're showing up in the way that makes you feel good. Like, am I presenting myself as a woman that I am looking at and I'm happy with? When I communicate with people, am I happy with the way that I am perceived? When I'm out and about in the world and I'm able to do what I'm doing, what's the reception I'm getting? How am I feeling with other people around me? How do I make them feel? When those things are in order, you will naturally attract that person. I believe this, and there's no science on this, but I think when those things are in order,
I say it's true, therefore it's true. It's gospel. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm officially God. I have said, God has spoken.
See, so we've had God officiating. So yeah, basically just do the stuff first, do the you stuff first, before you worry about like, how can I please dude, that stuff will work itself out. If you do the you stuff, you'll find somebody that you like so much that you don't even really need to think about these things, you know, because you'll naturally want to be that. So yeah.
Andrea, look, that was honestly so much fun and such a great conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be back in touch with you. I have to run now because I'm starving.
You have to do it.
But I'll be back in touch with you if that's okay, because I'd love to get you. Yeah.
You can get me on whenever you want, ladies. You will have me on next. I will be the first one. So, and
maybe a cameo from your girlfriend, like
she can come at some point. I'll tell you what. I'll promise you that there will be a cameo from my girlfriend on when you interview me. I'm excited. But I had such an amazing time. Thank you so much, because I know it's kind of getting late as well. So really appreciate you, and we will carry on talking, and we'll be in touch as well. And guys, if there was anything else that she didn't ask, put it down, or that we didn't touch on, just put it down in the comments. Feel more than welcome to obviously reach out to me, men. And for all of you beautiful ladies watching this, where can they find you and get coaching from you? Because the more women that you coach, I can guarantee you the more beautiful the world's going to be.
Oh, and that is all you can ask, really. So it's at ThatGodessEnergy on Instagram, across pretty much all of the platforms. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Reach out to me. I do have an open inbox, so by all means, I do like hearing from people who have something intelligent to say. Please do reach out. If I miss it though, please forgive me. Just email me. But you can find me on Instagram at ThatGodessEnergy, and all of the information for everything else is there. I'm starting a Patreon as well, which is going to be cool because it's going to be like private, which I'm excited for. So that's happening literally next week. So if you like all of this kind of stuff, then sign up. It's going to be a lot of girl talk, no holds barred. So I'm excited for that.
I'm scared for that, actually.
You should be.
I might just sign up just to keep my eyes on her.
I'm gonna vet everyone who signs up, so don't even try it. Yeah,
right, I'm fucked. My girlfriend could sign up though, right?
She could. Problem not
solved.
So.
It's fine. No, it's fine. But genuinely appreciate you. I'll let you leave, and just thank you so much again. It was such a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. I truly appreciate it. And I'll see you soon, no doubt.
Absolutely. More than welcome. Bye.